Hello and welcome to another episode of Tumorously Yours. I'm Tamanna and that is Adnan. And we are back with another wonderful guest, another story that we promise will inspire you and change your perspective. We have with us today my very dear friend, Asmeeta Gidwani, an absolute riot of a person, if I may say so, with a live life with a big smile attitude. Asmeeta has seen cancer right in her house. Her mother was diagnosed with it first in 2010 and then it relapsed a couple of times. Auntie fought very hard while smiling through the tough times. But then sometimes the tough fight is just tougher than we imagined. And we lost her about 5 years back. Thank you, Asmeeta, for coming here and being willing to share your story with us.
No problem at all.
First, to set context and let the viewers, listeners get to know about you, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, what you do. Also, about Auntie, what she did, what type of cancer she had, what stage, all of that.
So I am a Bombay girl at the core. Brought up here, born here, living a typical city life. I am an entertainment publicist because who doesn't love entertainment and Bollywood and etc. So yeah, that is what gives me the thrill. So that is what I do as a career. Living with right now with my younger sister and my little doggy Bella. And yeah, so mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. I think not in 2010, but in 2007 or 8 actually. And it first started off as breast cancer, and then as it progressed, many years later, it just appeared in different parts of her body. But the one thing I remember is she felt a really hard lump on her left breast, if I'm remembering that correctly. And she refused to go and get it checked because she was so nervous. And that is the first mistake that was made. She refused. So I think for about 5 to 6 months, we were undiagnosed, unchecked because she was so nervous. Of course, deep down, she knew what it was going to be. I think 3 months after she felt the lump is when she actually told us that she feels something. And we pushed her. And then 5 months later, she has gone and gotten it checked. And of course, the doctor diagnosed it. Then procedures of which doctor to go to, how to start, because nobody in the family, she's actually the first one in this generation to get cancer. So nobody knew how to deal with it at that point. So it's not like we can go to anybody for some sort of referencing or guidance. We had to figure it out on our own with young daughters. I had already gotten diagnosed with lupus when I was 15. So I was already the sickly one at home. And I think I was in college when she got diagnosed. So it actually didn't really hit Simran and me so much because we were so young. We didn't know of the ups and downs that this would bring. But a lot of learnings through the way, a lot of learnings. The one thing I would tell everybody who is listening to this podcast, please go for checkups. And if you feel something, go to a doctor because we cannot self-diagnose. That is the one learning.
I must tell you, it's only the fourth episode, this one. And literally every episode, this is one important learning that comes out. Go for a checkup because we seem to just not.
Yeah, you can do Ayurveda, do homeopathy, do whatever you wish to, but at least take all three opinions so you know the actual matter, and then you can figure out. If you don't know, you can't help yourself.
So, Asmita, Auntie was a single parent, right? And so by default, she would have played the role of a mother and a father. So when, she herself got to know about her cancer, how did she break the news to you and Simran? And how did both of you cope with this?
She actually, as a parent, she was very open. There were no secrets or mother child sort of divide in that sense. We all knew everything that was happening. So today, if there was a difficult phone call that came or anything, we were very open, so she didn't hide it. In fact, when she felt the love and when she did actually muster the courage to tell us, I went to for her first consultation.
Okay.
So when all the scans were done, I remember booking appointments for her, figuring, which doctors are nice. And I was, I think, all of 17, maybe not even 18 years old, maybe 16, 17. So first consultation, I went with her. So it wasn't as much of a difficult time breaking it to us as much as it was, when him saying that, okay, this is third stage cancer. It all started after her first or second chemotherapy. That's when the actual disease hit us. But before that, we were like, okay, really calm and really open to next steps, basically, as a family.
So then, why do you think, like, so I'm curious now that you said you guys were pretty calm about it, and like usually this is a news that shakes people up, right? So what do you think helped you guys stay calm?
We didn't know what it would bring us. Like, yeah, the word cancer is big, but we've not seen anybody experience this disease before, or we've not even heard anybody her aunt had throat cancer or something, but we didn't really see her suffer, so we didn't
Mm.
know what it would bring, and what you don't know doesn't really scare you or kill you. So when she would come back, she was okay that day, and then next day those side effects would start. You would know those best, Tamanna. uh, and but Yeah, so it relapsed a couple many years later. So if 2008 she got diagnosed and 2018 she passed, so the second relapse was in 2017, and I think maybe 3 years before that was the first relapse.
And did she, like, when she came back, did it come back worse? And did you go with her to the hospital for it? Like, how
Yeah,
did you know?
then we were adults and stuff. It's just that she would have to go for yearly checkups, right? And then when it came back, they saw a couple of more mets in the liver in 2017. In the liver, and then slowly it spread to the lung, then it spread to the brain, and that time then it spread everywhere. Because she had also the first 2 times was really strong, like, we'll do this, I need to live for my kids, we'll get okay. But the last time, she had given up herself. So she's like, you know what, I cannot go through this anymore. I can't do it. And I think that is what also ate her up, because you need to be positive on your own to be able to beat it. 3 times is a bit much. So
It
I
is.
get that she gave up.
Mm.
But yeah, the last time she wasn't in for that experience at all.
It's really nice how
Okay.
you can detach yourself now, like
I
quite a
can
bit
be I
from.
can, like, people say, oh, they have this habit now. Oh, so do you live with parents? Oh, so do you, now what do you say? Like, today you are not so close to me for me to say, oh, I've lost both. You know what I mean? So, like, what do you say? So I said, no, I live with my sister. So they think I moved from some place,
Too late.
moved from some, come to Bombay, and I'm living with my sister. I'm like, how do I put it? I'm like, it's fine. Like, I don't feel bad anymore. You get used to it and it's okay. Like, don't kill yourself over it.
Okay, so like you said, that you've had an autoimmune disease since you were 15. And I'm sure that, and I've seen some of the complications it brings with it, and it's challenging in general in life. So I want to know from you to tell us a little bit about it, what it is, and how you've managed your health alongside Auntie's health when she was going through cancer.
So when I was diagnosed, lupus wasn't such a very it wasn't a very big problem in my head. It's an autoimmune disease, but I wasn't feeling the symptoms on an everyday basis. So I was living a normal life. So I could give all of me to my mom, but she couldn't give all of her to herself. It was very difficult for her, but for me, because I wasn't experiencing any of the symptoms, in my mind, I was like, this is not such a big deal. So let's live life. It's only later in like 2018 when I got admitted to the hospital. I got pneumonia. I had like 3, 4 things all together, a lupus flare up. I got admitted to the hospital is when I realized that, oh, this is a big deal, and you need to take care of yourself before you can do it for anyone else, and take it seriously.
So, Asmita, as you mentioned in one of your previous points, that not a lot of people know what lupus is, right? And we mentioned this a couple of times now. So, can you briefly explain, like, what is lupus and what are the symptoms? What does it mean?
Of course. So lupus is an autoimmune disease where your good cells attack your good cells itself. So your good cells are in your body to attack your bad cells or get rid of your bad cells. Yeah, that's what they do. But in lupus, your good cells can't differentiate between good and bad. So they sort of eat each other up. So that sort of fight is what creates lupus. And the symptoms that I had, now I understand that different people have different symptoms. But for me, I got low grade fever for 3 consecutive years. Yeah, when I was 15, 16, and 17. So around October, November, I would get 100, 99, 100. That sort of low grade fever, but it would last for a month, which we thought was not normal. So we've gone to all sort of general physicians. Then the third year, there's this really nice pediatrician around this side called Dr. Aspirani. We said, you know what, nobody is able to figure this out. And he did. He said, okay, get these two tests and we'll figure it out. And it came positive, and he said, you have lupus. I get joint pains also. So my joints also hurt really bad sometimes, in, when temperatures change, or when I'm really, really stressed. And people here, especially in India, and I keep saying in India because I have family all over, and I feel people there are a lot more sensitive to, conditions that people may have. Whereas here, it's not so much like that.
So one of the things that I've heard you speak a lot about is about how society and surroundings are not very conducive and friendly for specially abled people, and how you had to struggle with it, right? Time and again, all the time. So I want you to speak about it a little first, and like how did it impact your life, of course, all these years which has been impacting, and how did it impact the time that Auntie was getting treated, like because you had to go to places, right?
This is the one thing, and I don't get angry very often, but it really, really, it makes me really angry because restaurants here don't have wheelchair accessibility. I don't only have lupus, I also have something called AVN. It's called a vascular necrosis, where, my hip is sort of corroded and fused together in that sense. So I limp when I walk. I remember I wanted to take her for a movie one day and she couldn't walk, and there was no wheelchair accessibility. In fact, how theaters have that exit where you need to really walk the whole thing. I said I cannot walk, as in for her. And I had a huge fight because I said she has cancer, and they refused to believe, which I think is so insensitive. Because what does one do? I cannot today, if I say that I have an issue, what do I do to make you believe that I'm limping? Because you don't see my limp all the time. Now I'm coming here to have fun. Just because I'm sickly doesn't mean I can't come. I can't go to concerts because most concerts don't have wheelchair accessibility. It's very tough because people don't even try to educate themselves on, okay, what is this, how is it that we can help. Like even offices, I feel it's very important for today, if I am an employee or you have somebody who has like lupus, or you have someone who has vertigo, for example, like anything, I feel everybody there should educate themselves to know that, okay, this person has this, and if there is a bad day, what can you do? Thankfully, touch wood, my guys are really understanding.
Yeah. I'm going to pivot back to Auntie a little bit again. This is not going to be an easy question to ask or answer, I'm pretty sure. So if you feel like you don't want to, that's fine. But I want to know, how were the last few weeks before Auntie passed away? Was she like deteriorating? Was it sudden? How was she dealing with it? And like, was she talking to you about it?
So I told you that she did not have the strength to fight it anymore. So we could see that through the course of this particular relapse, the last couple of weeks actually were really tough because she was in the hospital most of the time for some issue or the other. But I think a month before she passed, they told us that sorry, we cannot do anything now. Now it has reached the brain, and now we cannot do anything. So we said, okay, just send her home. We might as well spend properly here. Yeah, so she didn't feel like eating anything. Her appetite had gone low. Every time once in a while she like cry and say, oh my god, I can't do this anymore. But now you can't cry with her. Now you need to be like, oh my god, we'll fight it. Then suddenly she stopped talking and she stopped reacting. So she was just like, like how people on the ventilator. And then she couldn't eat anything, of course, because she just wasn't reacting, she wasn't moving, nothing. But it got really difficult to handle, because like how do we change diapers also, then change her clothes, try to feed her. So at the end it was just she's there but she's not there. And then when she did pass, she just started breathing heavily. And Simran and I like told everybody to get out of the room, and we said, it's okay, you can leave us. We know you're here because you're holding on for us, but it's okay. Like we'll manage, don't worry.
Oh my God, to say that,
I don't know
I'm a
what to
little
say
shaken.
now. Like,
Yeah, like I'm a little shaking to hear this
yeah,
also.
Of course, it took a while for Simran also to settle down and to figure her groove.
Asmita, I want to ask a question on the something which you mentioned previously. So you mentioned that there was
Mhm.
sort of a role reversal which happened in parenting towards the ending stages, right? Like you said, you were, helping her change her diapers and like everything. So like basically now you were taking care of your mom completely in and out. So how did that feel? Or like did
So Simran and I would take turns to, maybe stay the night at the hospital, or, take responsibility. Because if you do it continuously and, people on the outside would be like, oh my God, she's here having dinner or, chilling with her friends while her mother is sick. But you don't understand how tough it is to be in that moment for over a year. So Simran and I would take turns. Like if I'm staying at the hospital that night, she would be free to do anything that night because you need a break. And I remember a lot of like people judging our ways and like, oh, your mother is sick in the hospital, almost like she's going to die, and you are here partying, or you are. And I'm like, who are you? Of course it was tough, but we would take turns. But to answer your question, I think when you are a child and you reach a certain age, you realize that you need to take care of them at some point in your life. It came earlier for us. You know that at some point in life, I'm not saying you need to take care of them to the extremities, because not all parents could be that, but they will need you for something or the other. So mentally, I think every child is prepared. It just came sooner for us.
I think one very important thing we need to address in our society is that what is this? So we definitely want people to be sensitive towards these things, but we don't want pity from them, right? And I think people confuse these two things very often. Most of them, people are like, oh, bechari, as you said, and then they treat you specially. They think that is being sensitive. No, but I think being sensitive is more about just having an unsaid understanding of doing things without actually saying that you're doing this for them.
To your question, no, little things like, okay, today if there are steps and I can walk a few steps, but when a friend just gives you a hand that, okay, hold my arm and walk, you don't need to say anything, you're just giving me your arm. These tiny things really matter. You're not saying that, you're not in any way implying that you are specially able, but your hand is still there for me for whenever I need it.
Showing empathy and then converting into an action, an unsaid action, that is sensitive.
Like my mom had her breast removed, but because she wanted, which this was wrong on her part, but I'm just saying this story because it really made me realize how normal she wanted to be, to feel. She wanted to drive. She said, so what if my breast is removed, but driving ke liye you need to wear seat belt, which you cannot wear because it's right in that area. She said it's fine, yahi to jana hai. And then she got caught and she said, mera operation hua, but see, you didn't need to drive. But that was how badly she wanted to feel normal, that she would take that risk, maybe break a rule, because I want to drive, I want to get back to normal life. I feel that's why it's important for everyday people to make you feel normal, so you don't need to resort to these
Search for this.
scary things to like feel normal.
Okay, last question. What is something that you'd like to say to people who have lost a parent to cancer at a young age?
I haven't really put thought to this because, like I said, we were also prepared. No, like she was suffering for a year before it actually happened, so we had time to like come to terms with it. It's not disease related or it's not parent losing related. It's about keep all your finances and stuff in check, in the sense, today if they have invested somewhere, everybody should know everything. You need to know, otherwise it gets really really tough. I'm not saying that make arrangements for that, but at least know everything. So in case something happens, because not everybody has that much time to know and figure, at least you know processes and you know what is where. And everybody knows when you lose a parent, there is nothing that anybody in the world can say to make it easy.
That is
Hmm.
actually very good practical advice. Like this is really, really, really good advice.
I can't not ask you this question. I have to ask you. From the starting of this episode and in general in life, how I've seen you live, you are someone about having fun irrespective of what is going on in life. I want to know where does this attitude come from, firstly? And I want to ask you, how important do you think it is for people to realize that okay to have fun even if you are like going through cancer or your parent is going through cancer or or you're having any other tough disease illness.
I feel you need to do it for yourself. Today, if I am bogged down by my disease and I'm not having fun, I'm being eaten inside. So it's not so much for others than for myself, because everybody needs that little break. Everybody needs that little breather on a day to day basis. It's not about, oh, let me once a month me time. That is not how it works. You need to chill out and just find happy moments in a day to make your. There are many. The world is full of bad things. I feel your love life can get shitty. Your work life can get shitty. You can have fights at home. You need to sort of find a way to forget all of that, to not let these things just eat you up, because how else do you live? And I think I also got this from my mother, because people will look at you with that sort of pity or that outlook. You feel that for yourself, and you shouldn't feel that for yourself. You're not bichara. You can do everything. Like, Tamana, you tell me, what have you not done when you were sick? Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had bad days, but you were working through it. And it's because you had such positive people around you. And I feel it's our
Mm.
responsibility to
Right.
make people feel positively towards the situation and you. And that is where this comes from.
I think
Yeah,
the
and I fully
point.
resonate. Like I fully agree because I also feel like they don't let life get you so bad that you can't have fun. And I remember even during cancer when I was going through treatment, Asmeeta had come to visit Vishakhapatnam and we had a ball. Like we laughed about the most random things. We took pictures of me bald with some random like filters and it was a ball and it was so much fun. But the point is that, like she said, there are always people there who are looking at you like, you're going through cancer, but you're having fun. Why are you having fun? I mean, what do you mean? Like, I'm not going to sit and now sulk 24/7, 365 days. How is this going
Not
to
only
work?
that, oh my god, you have cancer, bichari. She's so
Yeah,
young. like, it's okay, ho gaya na. Now we need to think of a solution.
You know what, Asmeeta would on a video call we are talking, and I'm sitting there, ball is like all black and all this, and Asmeeta will look at my nail color and say, "This is such an ugly nail color to put." And I swear to God, it's a very silly thing, but it would just make me feel normal. It'd be like she doesn't care that my skin is messed up.
Like,
She look at my nails and she's like, "They're not done well." That is our
like,
problem.
like feeling normal is so underrated. Like, I don't want to be made feel special. I just want to be treated normally. I don't need your pity eyes.
You're not the only person who's mentioned this. Even in a previous episode with Ram Uncle, he said the same thing. His family would take turns because it is still important for you to take out time for yourself, right? And this is another thing as a society we need to normalize is that listen, if bad things are happening, you still need to take a break from bad things. Get your energy, get your strength back, and then get back to fighting that issue and solving it.
जान है तो जहान है.
Jaan hai to jahan hai. On this note, thank you very, 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 very much for doing this. You know I love you, and you know that I absolutely love the way you live life. I have to be very grateful to Thinking for giving me you. But thank you for doing this episode. Thank you for being so honest. We are very, very grateful. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you so much, Asmita.
Everything has a solution. Everything can be figured out. Life can be figured. If you take it too seriously, you will bog yourself down with the negative and you will not think of a solution. So just chillax, guys. Just chillax.